Okay, welcome back to part 2 of this two-part service video. We are servicing this King Seiko movement. You can see the teardown in part 1 of this series. Now we're going to put this movement back together. I have cleaned the movement and I got the cap jewels and escape wheel and pallet fork have been dipped in Epilam. The gear train springs are little clips like this that hold the jewel into place, and the shock protection has a more comprehensive spring that holds the assembly in place. Here's a close-up of one of the cap jewels for the gear train, and let's move that around. Here's a close-up for the balance jewel. The finishes on these Seikos are not... could be a bit better in my book. They're quite crude, to be honest. But what they have done is jeweled everything where it should be jeweled, making a remarkably durable movement. So, cap jewels, balance shock jewels are now in place, and the balance moving freely. So I'm happy to take the balance off and start putting the gear train back into the movement. I'm going to reuse the old mainspring, as it's a little bit tricky to get a hold of. I'll put a drop of oil, like so, on each side of the mainspring. I'm going to take a piece of paper, like so, and make sure that the oil is smeared evenly. Here I've fitted the mainspring into the barrel. Give that a drop of oil on the barrel arbor, and we're going to fit the mainspring lid on so. You have to press that on until you hear a decisive click, I think the rattling of the paper overshadowed it. What you want to see is that the lid is completely flush with the barrel. And here you can have a nice view of the jeweled barrel. Now we're going to try to put the gear train back into place. I'm going to start with a center wheel. I left the screw in this bridge, I know where it would go afterwards. Give that a drop of red oil, such. I'm going to fit the barrel. Goes in like such. This is a good time to remember your setting lever screw. Under the microscope, I've just put a little tiny drop of 9010 on the contact surface here of your sweep second wheel. Before I put that in place, I'll have to put the third wheel in place, like so. Now this can come on. Now, I had a little bit of a film on these wheels. I'm not sure what it is, but I've cleaned it off and I put the wheels back into the movement. Same goes to the barrel. You might have noticed that earlier. It's now all gone. Some kind of pollutant or moisture or something gotten into the case and left the film and some parts of the movement, the gear train. I'm going to have a look under the microscope and make sure all the pivots align to the jewel holes. Now the pivots are aligned into the jewels, I'm happy to tighten this bridge. As some of you might notice, the capsules are not in yet, and that is just purely because when I put the bridge in place, I prefer seeing that the pivots go into the jewel holes when I'm tightening the bridge. I'm going to fit the capsules now. So, capsules now in place. I'm going to fit the crown wheel. left hand thread. At this point I might as well fit the ratchet wheel as well. One of the most beautiful ratchet wheels from the time period. Now we can also see that the gear train is moving nice and freely. So now I'm going to turn the movement around, install the winding and setting mechanism. Fit the winding pinion and the sliding pinion. Then I can fit the stem. Make sure I grease the sliding surfaces with blue grease. Like such. Now going to fit the setting lever. Like so. Going to hold that in place. And turn the movement around and tighten the setting lever screw. That's in the right position and engaging, like so. Now it's in the right position, like so. I've put the yoke in place, and I'm going to put the now I'm going to fit the yoke spring. Like so. Here's the sliding pinion that I push straight on to the center wheel. Here's the minute wheel, which I put in place. And the intermediate setting wheel goes in here. The hour wheel I'll put on here later on, don't need it now. We have this little bridge that will hold a minute and intermediate winding wheel in place. going to set, now I'm going to fit the setting lever tension spring. Again, I'm going to oil the sliding surfaces. In this case is setting lever spring engaging with the setting lever. So now I can set the time and wind the watch. At this point, I feel like fitting the hacking lever disc onto the sweep second hand upper pivot. Simply going to push it on with my hand setting tool. That should do the trick. Now I'm going to fit the pallet fork and the pallet fork bridge, and then we're going to oil the pallet. I'm going to do this under the microscope to make sure I don't damage any pivots. If you notice that the barrel bridge screw is missing here, that is because it's for the hacking lever. And when I'm going to take the stem out, I'll also have to remove that, so I'm just leaving it out for now, and I'll put it in when the movement's cased. Now we're going to oil the escape wheel. So when you oil the escape wheel, you'd like to get a nice droplet of oil on the tip of your pallet fork tool, like this. And I'm going to move the pallet fork forward like this, distributing the oil. When the oil is nicely distributed, you're done. Alright, time to fit the balance into the movement. Well, I've been scratching my head as I couldn't get balance to engage with the pallet fork, and that is because the impulse pin on this movement is missing, and that's why it's not been running earlier on. So I'll have to fit a new pin into this, and I can try again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first of all take the balance out of the balance bridge. Good, now we have the new roller in place. We can put the balance back into the balance bridge. I'm now going to turn the regulator pin guards to make sure the hairspring doesn't fall out. I'm going to tighten the boot screw to make sure the hairspring is held in place at the right height. And I want to put the balance into the movement again. I have aligned the pallet fork to the right, and I will insert the balance in such a way that the impulse pin comes in from the right and engages with the pallet fork. Like so. And the movement is alive again. Woohoo! Great, the movement is fully wound. I'm now going to put it on the time graph and make sure it's properly regulated. Okay, after a little bit of adjustment, it seems like the watch is looking pretty good. Let's try and turn it dial side up and see what it does. Yep, keeping the same time, +2. +5. +9. It's going a little bit faster dial up. See, it might be a little bit wavy. And +1. It's just settling here now. Okay, well, we've adjusted the movement and I'm ready to put the dial and hands back on and then case it. I'm going to put the hour wheel on now, which is held in place by the dial watcher, which keeps the hour wheel in place. And now I'm going to loosen the dial screws and fit the dial. to get the hands close, but not touching, of course, and aligning towards 12 o'clock, the best possible. Now, one of my favorite features on these King Seiko chronometers is the second hand, which you can see has kind of a spearhead design. A regular one will not have this. Regular and non-chronometer. Excellent, let's get the case ring on and then case the movement. While I'm at it, I might as well take the stem out. Right, the movement now has its case ring, dial and hands fitted. If you've watched this part 1, you will have seen I polished the original crystal on this. It's got plenty of crazing in the crystal. And let's see how it looks with the movement in there. First of all, I'm going to blow away some dust. Getting very close now. The last job to do is fitting the hacking lever back into the movement. The hacking lever has a little spring, a washer that goes on top here. See this lever underneath the hacking lever that has to engage with the setting lever up here. We also have this little core that comes in, like so. and then the screw on top. So when you pull the stem out, you engage the hacking lever, which stops the movement. It looks like it's still running in the balance, but it's not. I think the bridge decoration on these movements are very nice. Ratchet wheel is great. The base plate is rather rudimentary, but beautifully jeweled. Overall, I like these very much. I'm now going to have a final look under the microscope and remove any dirt that might have accumulated while I've been casing the movement. Alright, I've cleaned up the movement. Any debris that I could find under the microscope are now removed. I have fitted the gasket. I'm now going to fit the tension ring that keeps the movement secured when the case back comes up. Something like this. Again, very nice movements. I enjoy working on these. Very nice. You've got to be careful when you take the hacking lever disc off. They can break the pivot. I have done that before, and they're difficult to find. So, word of caution for anybody working on this: watch out for when you take these off. Besides that, very nice to work on. Very robust, solid movements, and I do like them. So. Let's get the case back on. So this case back is a little worn. It's got a scratch from somebody trying to open the case back here at one point. But still has a beautiful line medallion, which is the signature for these chronometers. I do have another case back here for reference. So this is the non-chronometer. It has the King Seiko shield. This one is from January '64. And this one is December '64. So you can see the different case back designs. And this one from '65, you can see there's actually a different design on the engraving in the case back. This is first of all a different size on the lettering, different font, and deeper engraving than the earlier models, like this one. And the later model had just the Seiko shield, which you can see here, a different engraving design. So this one is from April '67. I do have one. Okay, the King Seiko out for a test drive. I've been wearing it since yesterday, and it's keeping chronometer-like time, so that's good. I think it's a very good looking watch. The design language is ahead of its time, I think, compared to what a lot of the watches in fashion wear. This one has its original crown and the original crystal, which has crazed. Not quite sure what I think of it yet, but I mean, it's kind of cool. So while I'm waiting for a new crystal, I'll use it as it is. It doesn't really bother me too much, and the light catching it can be quite decorative, especially as I know the dial underneath is close to perfect. It has a cool effect. Let me know what you think under the comments, and hope you enjoy this video.